Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the VOD Squad, the show where we talk about streaming technology. This is episode 232, holy crap, on the last Wednesday in April 2021. I am Clyde, and today I am joined by a rogues gallery, starting with Matthew Ross.
Hello there.
Michael Aston.
Howdy, everybody.
And Jimmy Tremmel.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Doing all right. It always feels like it's been forever since we were all here.
Well, only been a couple weeks, I think.
Yeah, it's been a couple
weeks, I think. Yeah, something like that.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's in today's world society, I really look forward to this every week. Because it's one of the rare occasions where I get to go out and not be going to work and doing that thing, and not at home doing dinner and put people to bed and that thing. This is the time that I get to laugh and be amongst friends and tell the worst jokes, and I appreciate it.
What's a requirement?
It's like something. I think it's like a podcasting rule. If your jokes must either be really good or they must be horrible. There's no middle ground there.
No, nobody. A mediocre joke is just a statement.
It's the worst.
It's just either a story or a statement.
No, can't have that. Oh well, that's all I gotta say about that. Are you doing good, Clyde? Yeah, okay. Everybody's just feeling kind of ho-hum. Nothing really exciting going on right now for anybody.
Has the ground thawed yet, Clyde?
It was freezing this morning when I left for work, and it was in the 60s. But the problem when I got home, is I had to start commuting again. So by the time I get home, I'm just exhausted. It's like, I've got so much stuff to do. I can finally do it, but I don't have the energy.
I'm sorry.
So
now you know how I feel like all the time. Sorry.
You guys, or you almost got to see an example of that, because I was doing prep before, and apparently took a short nap, because when I woke up, Discord was not responding because there were so many Ks in the chat thing. That I had I broke Discord because it couldn't comprehend all of the finger presses.
So in other words, you used up all the Ks available in the
exactly,
and so Discord had to go to Kmart to buy some more Ks.
It was out of Ks, or no more Ks in memory. But that's I had to kill Discord and restart it. But you know what? We have recovered. I am here. We are here. Why don't we talk about something?
I guess we can do that. How about news? Well, let's start with a story from Stadia. I have an update this week about Stadia, being able to provide some new functionality inside the service. Stadia now has the ability for you to go up to the top of the interface and type into a search dialog in order to find games. Google, a company that does search, puts search in another one of their things. How long has Stadia been out for?
It's about freaking time. Because if you remember, one of my biggest complaints about Stadia is the inability to find stuff in the store, because you have to basically scroll through the entire catalog. You can't sort. You couldn't search. but you can now.
You can sort now. That's the other big feature, is that if you like, you can go in there and sort the games, at least on the desktop version of the app, which is the Chrome version of the app.
Yeah.
And that's great. So you can do that. There's also a couple of little goodies in here. You got some social activity things where you can like, oh, this clip that I saved, you can actually have like shared buttons to share those to other people using social media. And, you know, it's you can now access Stadia from things like browsers on Android, which, you know, used to have to use the app, things like that. Little updates to the Stadia app, which everybody calls either dead or Google's big failing, or we don't want to make mistakes like Stadia. And I keep hearing that, and I'm thinking to myself, do you hear yourself? Is it a mistake? I don't know. Although I did hear one thing where the guys at CD Projekt Red were asked about their numbers of sales on different platforms, and they said, how did Stadia do? And well, I don't think he was able to answer in any way, but I think he laughed. Now, I don't know if that's a laugh of more than you would think, or laughed in that it wasn't very much, but something funny was going on there, apparently.
You know, I mean, I think the challenge there is that, as far as I know, right, like there's no way to you basically have to buy it through Google, right? So
you can use the Game Pass subscription,
right?
So, right. But
yeah,
you can't bring existing purchases. Like with Steam, you can put in your CD key or whatever, and
I don't think you can do that anymore. But yeah.
You can with Steam. It still does let you do that, but then you burst, or you're using up that key with Steam, and it's yours in your library at that point.
So, I mean, the disadvantage, of course, then is that, you know, if you bought a title on a CD or something like that, you can't migrate it. Not that anybody's even doing that.
Yeah, but
anymore.
I don't even think any of these games are available on a CD anyway. Anymore.
Not that anybody's doing that anymore. But it is something that just kind of, like, I wouldn't want to move to Stadia now because all my library is in Steam.
Right.
Granted, they're totally different things. It's just that it would be an investment for me to try. But
you're looking at stuff that may not be available or may not be released for the PC or for a while. I mean, look how many years it took for GTA 5 to show up on the PC. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, everybody's thinking of Stadia wrong. I mean, I can't understand why everybody's thinking of it. I know why they're thinking that way, because they're wishing everything was like GeForce Now, where, hey, I'm going to get for free access to this virtual computer and play a game on it from my existing library, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. That is like the coolest thing ever. Unfortunately, all the companies that make games, or about half the companies that make games, are greedy and saying, no, you're not allowed to play that on GeForce Now. We want you to not do that with that experience. My son played a game on GeForce Now because he wanted to try it. So we put it on the TV, and we had to log in to GeForce Now with my account, which took a lot of logging in on the TV because of the stupid remote. And then it made me log in with my Epic account in order to log into that with my stupid difficulty with the remote. Yeah, actually, what was worse, they wouldn't even let me use the remote. It made me plug in a keyboard and mouse in order to log into the stinking Epic store to play the game. It was so frustrating, and that's not how you think about Google Stadia. It is a console.
Yep.
It's just like if you went to and bought yourself an Xbox. Or a PlayStation or a Switch, you could buy Stadia, except for the console costs you nothing if you only need 1080p. You can buy the games. The games are, hey, that game is $60, just like it would be on a console and sometimes they're on sale, and you buy it. And when you buy it, it's yours forever. Now, you want the better version that gives you higher refresh rates
and more bugs
and more.
In the case of Cyberpunk,
maybe, but no, I'm talking about the 4K display. Then you have to have their approved player, so you have to buy their approved little thing. It works best with their controller. You have to pay for that, and you have to pay a monthly fee in order to get the 4K access to the game. But guys, if all you want to do is buy a game, and so that's the thing. I went in and they gave away a game for free, and I bought one that first time it started out, and I bought Lara Croft. I heard it was a good game. I was never going to buy it anyway, so I bought it and I played it on that. It's a good game, and I don't have to pay a thing for it.
Yep.
Or you can pay a monthly fee for you access to a bunch of free games that, whenever you want. Or you can get a couple of those games for free with no subscription, or you have to sign up. You just have to. You want to play Bomberman, the new
Just
Bomberman?
log in with your Google account
and play it for free with no cost at all.
Which is what I've been doing.
And people are calling this the failure, not because Stadia did anything wrong. The developer who was hired by Google to say, hey, make games specifically for Stadia. This is going to be awesome. And the developer said, yeah, this is hard and it takes years. And Google's like, yeah, okay, well, then we're not going to do that. We're going to cancel that. Well, and then everybody took that as they're canceling Stadia. That's not what happened. Okay, I think I'm done.
And I will say, a lot of the people that are saying that Stadia is bad or Stadia is a failure also haven't tried it in the last year.
There was a recent video by Linus Tech Tips. Linus Tech Tips went ahead and said, since right now you can't buy a video card, we're going to say, let's try all these streaming services so you can try them and see if they're good. And he tried them all. And he even said, wow, Stadia, this is really good. And he was playing like Battlegrounds, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. And he said, that's pretty good. And then he played a different game. And it was like, this is actually really good with this one. And then he moved on to the next thing. And then at the end, he just basically passed over Stadia because it's a failing product. Yeah. Again, this is it's not. It's actually not good.
Yeah. And that was the thing, is because I went into it, tried it like 6-7 months ago because why not? And I was pleasantly surprised because I remember how bad people were hating on it last year, or and before. And it's made significant. But the problem is, a lot of the people that people listen to, they're never going to go back and try it again. And they're not willing to, have their mind changed. They've already decided that something is bad or it's a failure. And that's just the way it's going to be. But no, I agree with you, Matt. I think it's a great product.
I think Crouch is actually trying to goad me here. I mean, canceling things is Google's MO at this point. Yes, Google cancels lots of stuff. Technically, so do other companies, but people really love pointing it out for Google. And Google cancels things all the time because they've had experiments that they do all the time.
Yeah.
They constantly say, we're going to try this thing, and it's good, and they end up canceling it. Or they try this thing, and it's great. We're going to evolve it to this new product and cancel it. Now, I wish they wouldn't do that because, Google Music was great, and YouTube Music is not as good. The things they've done like that bothers me too. I agree. Google could have something improvement. But this is a thing where they basically came out and said, we think this is huge. We think this is going to work. We're committed to it. And they haven't said anything otherwise. Yeah. I don't see where the failure is. I don't see where they said anything bad about their own product. No. Now, they could come out tomorrow and cancel it, and I'd have to eat crow.
No.
I don't think that's happening, but...
No.
Yeah. It does sound like Google manages their products kind of like characters in the Game of Thrones.
Who will die this week? Let's see. You've been pesky. We might kill you.
As long as it's bringing in enough ad revenue, then it's safe.
All I gotta say, there's not enough sex in this Game of Thrones. That's all.
Although that's the missing ingredient.
I gotta say, I have not played Cyberpunk. So there's probably plenty of sex in that, as far as I know. I haven't played it. Should we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Chromecast and Roku. Looks like both of those devices they got the new Google Chromecast Chromecast with Google TV, the Sabrina, as we call it, and the new Roku devices have both been given certification for HDR 10 plus. This means that you will be able to watch your newest content with that new high-end standard to give you the best colors and displays around. Which ones are the Rokus that get this?
I'm pretty sure it's the
all-new Roku
Ultra.
Express 4K Plus, Roku Express 4K, and the Roku Ultra 2020 version. Cool.
Yeah, and the one thing about this is that it doesn't require specific hardware. It just requires hardware that is capable of getting the software update. And a lot of TVs are capable already of, if you have an HDR TV, it may already be capable of doing the upgraded HDR 10 plus, which, if I remember right, gives you additional color and shading options. I believe that was the real delineation between regular HDR and HDR 10 plus. But so good news, a lot of people aren't going to have to do anything to see the benefits.
Yes, Wabbit, it does have to be a 4K TV, I believe. Well, actually, technically, you could do HDR 10 plus without 4K. I mean, did anybody make a 1080p display that was HDR 10 plus? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think the HDR 10 plus came out long before 4K, long after 4K became a thing. Anyways,
Well, there's not even an HDR 1080p.
Yeah, I think that's not the case. Yeah, I think that's how. Oh, here's a story for you guys. Comcast. We all know about Comcast and their internet speeds and how, they're horrible. Just the worst speeds of them all, as I say this as a Comcast subscriber.
I was fine when I had Comcast, but go ahead.
Yeah, you had Comcast and you got some good speeds, didn't you? You had Comcast Business, though.
But
right?
I was getting slower speeds than most people, but I was consistent.
Oh, okay. Comcast has been doing some work on their getting speeds to people. They have done some lab work and have mentioned that they've now been able to reach speeds of up to 10 gigabits over the new DOCSIS 4.0 full duplex standard. And yes, full duplex, that's up and down. So this is still in the lab, unfortunately, but this is this kind of speeds that they are able to send over the cable modems. And it looks like in order to provide this kind of thing, they are looking at upgrading their fiber networks in order to be able to handle this kind of bidirectional speed. But this is cool, guys. We need more fast speeds like this, everyone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I like the speeds, but my question is, what's the data caps going to be?
Yeah.
4 gigabit.
Yeah.
I hit my cap in 20 minutes.
Sorry, 4
I was going to
terabit.
say, accelerate, broaden it, but keep the same tiny little cap so that you hit it in less time. It's going to take you 5 minutes to make it to the cap now.
Yeah, but okay, and
maybe that's the master plan.
this is where I chime in and say, okay, great, but you're not even gonna notice. You're not gonna really. There's gonna be people that are gonna be like, holy crap, I'm going to rush out and I'm going to spend extra to get this 10 gigabit. And why? I mean, if you're watching Netflix, you're using like 3 to 15 megabits.
Yeah, for HDR.
Yeah, I mean, 10 gig is one of those things. It makes sense on local area networks.
Sure.
Especially if you have servers. You need interconnectivity between your switches to provide throughput between devices. Going out, the stuff you're doing on the internet, gigabit is typically overkill for everybody.
Yeah.
I said typically, not always.
Yeah. So, for me, I think I'm excited about this, and I would would love if they had something like this in my area, predominantly for work related purposes, right? When I'm, saving or transferring multi-gigabyte files back and forth to work, and that kind of effort, that's where I see the benefit, especially when you start looking at those kinds of things while you're doing Zoom meetings, and your kids are watching 4K TV and your wife's watching 4K TV. You can saturate the 20 megabits per second that I usually get pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The point of the difference between 1 and 10 gigabit per second is pretty moot point unless you're doing a lot of like video production where you're transferring videos back and forth from your office or something like that.
And I as an example, I can tell you that most of our offices for my company, most of our offices have like a 200 meg link, WAN link. You've got upwards of 1,000 people working daily doing all kinds of stuff on the internet all at the same time. No problem. And yes, I can tell from the firewall logs that a lot of people are streaming music, video, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, that's all on it's on a 200 meg link. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, and to your point also, Clyde, I mean, 10 gig is great. And I'm with Mike, if they offer it in my area, yeah, I'll be interested to look to look at it and everything and all. But, the thing is, okay, so you get 10 gig. Well, hey, still on the back of most people's computers, right? It's just a 1 gig port.
And
right?
that's the thing.
So you also need a 10 gig port to make use of that.
You would need 10 gig switches and a router that has the ability to pass 10 gigs. Most routers that people have in their home, even though they have like gigabit, their backplane is only capable of doing like maybe a couple hundred. Especially if your router's doing fancy stuff like deep packet inspection, which will typically limit you, like cut your speed and that it's capable of doing in half. So yeah, I mean, are you, in order to actually be able to use this, you're talking investment of several $1,000s into your home infrastructure, which is why I say that, yeah, hey, great, they're doing this, but it's all marketing. Because
it is marketing, and it makes me wonder, are they doing this because of the oncoming 5G wireless? Maybe this is what is, spurring them on to do this.
Yeah. I don't know, but all I gotta say is I want this because I want to be able to stream my VR games. I mean, seriously, that's the only thing I could think of that would require such a high speed connection.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I mean, they're also looking at like Wi-Fi 6, right? So you can now buy Wi-Fi 6 routers and stuff, which those can hit just about 10 megabits or gigabits per second. So, if you're the person that's out there spending, what is it, like $800 or $1,000 on a true Wi-Fi 6 router, then you're going to be like, well, but I've got to get my bandwidth up to that. So then you got to go to your DOCSIS 4 modem and get Comcast, right? So I think that they're probably looking at those people that, and to Clyde's point, 99 out of 100 times don't need, but think that they want to buy because it's the newest and most fancy thing. I would say that the people at my work, there's one of us that would need more bandwidth than we can get them. And that's just because he does all of our video work. He literally spends his whole day uploading and downloading videos and editing them and stuff. And it still isn't a barrier to him. He's got, I think, 100 megabit per second, and he just has to wait.
And just a reminder, if you miss it at the beginning, they're not currently offering 10 gigs. 10 gigs is the goal. They've currently the max they've reached with DOCSIS 4 is 1.25 gigabits. And this is but I just wanted to clarify in case someone says, well, they said they're already offering 10 gigs. No. 10 gigs
lab,
is the
guys.
goal. Is the goal.
And let's throw one other thing out there because we haven't talked about it yet this show. You've got 8K coming. So we'll need more bandwidth for that.
You're going to need 100 megabit at 8K.
So those of you with a gigabit, with gigabit service, get 2 8K TVs, and you might finally start utilizing a quarter of your gigabit pipe.
You just got to remember, people start saying new fancy things, and people think they got to upgrade. You got an 8K TV coming. You're gonna have to get 10G.
8K is better than.
I guarantee you'll go to Best Buy or Costco, and that's what you'll hear.
Hey, that 8K TV might cost you 10 Gs.
It's true.
Yeah, you hear the sales guys. Even if it's 4K content, it'll upscale. On the 8K television.
So will my?
I'm watching MASH. How does that upscale to 8K?
Well, it does upscale.
Alan Aldo looks weird.
That's just Alan. He just always look weird. Like it's fine. It's fine. All right. Here's a story for you guys. Sony is apparently they let leak a picture of what looked like an ability for you to watch some of the Sony different content through something called the PlayStation Plus Video Pass. This is an access to various Sony properties, movies, and TV shows and series that they've got, including things like Arrival and Blade Runner 2049, American Hustle, and these seasons of Community and things like that. That is going to basically be free for you to watch if you have a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 and you're playing for the PS Plus.
So PlayStation is quietly bringing back View.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to ask. Like, wait a minute.
But it's only Sony stuff, and right now it's only in Poland, and this might just be a test and might not be going anywhere else.
But if only there was a tool that could let us only be in Poland.
Yeah, if only. Man, that's a novel idea. Yeah. I wonder if you could dig a tunnel that far.
Travel. We'll commute.
Oh, yeah, you could commute. That's
commute
true.
to Poland.
Yeah, that's true. Paper airplanes. The packet.
PlayStation says Icon has Poland.
Yes. Also, Sony is coming out with a new support for PlayStation Now. PlayStation Now is their streaming service, which will allow you to play PlayStation games on their consoles. And if you didn't know, you've been playing this whole time at 720p. Yes, that's right. You have it. They are beginning to support now 1080p, and with certain games and certain networks in certain areas of the world, they are going to be coming out with 4K. Yeah, guys, 720p has been enough for you. You just didn't know it the whole time. We keep bringing this up.
But I've got a 4K TV. What do you mean it's been in 720?
720p is enough for you. You didn't even know.
Didn't even notice.
But hey, that 4K television will upscale at 720p.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see this as a surprise. I think this is I will be shocked to hear next week of the thing that's been 720p the whole time. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean that's ultimately Nintendo proved that, right? Like they proved that you don't need 4K to have a good gaming experience or for a game to look beautiful. That's the tricky thing. The trick about gaming is the fact that, a well-designed, well-made game looks good regardless of how many pixels you've got on screen. And And, you know, while our kind of standard on what that resolution will be and the fidelity that you'll get in those images has increased a little bit over time, it's really not increased that much. What you actually see increasing is not the number of pixels so much as it is the number of, you know, vertices on a model, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the models become smoother, but you're usually not maxing out the resolution of a screen with the models that you're seeing in the game, because that takes more rendering power, and your graphics card usually can't cut that. That's why even now, even with your newest, best graphics card, running almost anything good in 4K is still very, very uncommon.
And this illustrates the point that I've been making for years, is that most people can't tell the difference unless you put the screens side by side with the identical images like they do at CES.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, sometimes it's hard to see the difference. But yeah, most people, if you throw an image up on the screen, it's 720. They go, okay, and then you throw up a different image that's in 4K. They'll be like, okay, you know.
See, I mean, I would contest that it is true to a large extent, but it is very definitely content dependent.
Exactly.
Certain content is very, very obvious when you get to higher resolutions. Video game content is kind of my point, is not one of those, because usually the number of pixels available on screen is not the limiting factor to the quality of the image you see in the video game. Normal TV also, you know, most scenes on most TV shows are also not very noticeable.
Good example, my parents' first flat screen TV I got them was a Sony 1080p. It was a 40-inch. Well, when that thing started failing, I gave them my 42-inch plasma, which is 720. And my dad was adamant that this TV looks better, way better than the other one. And, you know, it's a 720p TV compared to a 1080. And again, it's you don't get to see them side by side. And yeah, maybe the fact that it's plasma plays a little bit into it. You know, better blacks and whatnot, but still, yeah. I mean, most people just aren't gonna notice. Just like most people aren't gonna notice the slight differences in audio that some audiophiles can pick out. You know.
Hey, just curious. Speaking of plasma, I don't remember, but you have a plasma TV and you look at it all the time. An LCD, a CRT screen had very round pixels.
Yeah. Okay.
An LCD has very square ones. Plasma, are they round or square?
They're roundish.
Okay.
Because I know they look like little ants when you get your eye really up close. You see the ants dancing around on the screen.
Oh.
But
I don't think I've ever experienced that. Okay. I was just curious if because that harsh. I remember when I first got those harsh, LCD displays where you could see the window screen kind of thing between the pixels, and you could see how square those pixels were because you had your 640 by 480 display LCD screen, because that was a couple $1,000s and that's all you could afford. And you're thinking to myself, man, everything is so sharp for text, but it's all so blocky. And then then we've moved on. There's actually an interesting bunch of stories of gamers who are actually playing games on CRTs now, and even though they're playing them at lower resolutions, the games look more lifelike because it just looks better on that display.
And they're also playing with their cherry reds on their modified old IBM keyboards.
That's a blasphemy. What the hell? That's so wrong. Don't ruin a good IBM keyboard with that, guys. No, ruin somebody else's. Ruin a Microsoft keyboard like that. That's fine. I don't care. Keytronic. That's fine. I don't care. Not an IBM Model M. Ugh. Okay. I'm moving on. Here we are. this is an interesting story. This is about a little speaker for kids. It's called the Yoto, or the Yato. I think it's Yoto, and it's a little speaker. It's able to play audiobooks and podcasts designed for kids. It's got a nice little interface where a kid can come up with a card that you can purchase and bring it up to the display to it, and as it scans it, it will then start playing that app's that content, whether it be an audiobook or a podcast or maybe some music. It's about $100, and it's a very plastic thing, and it reminds me very much of my childhood, because I don't know about you guys, but I had several ways of reading a book with some type of technology. Who here remembers the big cardboard books that you could put the little mini record player thing on and it spun around and literally yeah, that little thing would like play some of the things on there. Of course, the golden books on tape was always a thing. I also remember the 2XL. Does anybody remember the 2XL?
Wasn't that like a electronic dance band in the 90s?
Maybe, I don't know, but in 1978 it came out, and it was an 8-track player designed to be a trivia machine. It was just an 8-track player, but it was shaped like a robot, and it was awesome. You can look it up. You can find it online.
I have fond memories of my speak and spell and my speak and read with the monster voice. Like the disturbing, scary monster voice it would get when the batteries would get about half drained.
Spell it.
Texas Instruments. You manufactured a good portion of my nightmares as a child.
Yeah, so this brings back that nostalgia for me. It's a cute little thing. I was able to play books and things like that, and it's that kind of get your kids into reading or into listening to actual knowledge-filled information, things like that. Yeah, it's got a kid-safe recharging mechanism. So the unlike some type of wire you plug in, it's actually a big old puck that you plug into the back, and that's magnetically connects to it, and it doesn't have anything that you can easily rip out of.
So proprietary, something that the kid can break, and then you have to buy a new one.
Another $100 device.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because they don't sell the cord separately.
Yeah,
nope.
I think ultimately this thing looks like it's probably pretty durable.
They mark that it's a giant slab of plastic on it, which and it does have a display. In case you're a listener and you're thinking, what about this thing? It is a gigantic pixels display. It's like 100 by 100 color display. It has a picture of a clock on one point. It has a picture of radio on another one, and it shows a fairly low resolution picture of Winnie the Pooh. That's our first picture here.
I've seen worse.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean I like it. I mean, it seems so. A couple of things. First of all, it is the opposite of what we do. It is an anti-streaming device. It's the purpose is to get kids away from watching TV and having devices in their hands.
Yeah, what am I doing talking about this thing? This is so not us.
So there's that. But I think, to me, while I do acknowledge and appreciate the fact that kids need to not be in front of devices all day long and every day, I find these kinds of devices almost preachy in the I'm going to make sure my kid has a special toy that keeps him from using a device. It's like, just give him a freaking book. Come on. Like we didn't have to have these to get away from devices before the devices came. You don't.
I just told you stories about the fact that a little record player books and the golden books and my 2XL. I had those kind of devices, and so I think a lot of parents go through the phase of, oh, let's try this different way and hopefully get the kid interested, kind of thing. Absolutely, and I have nostalgia for that. So whatever.
See, I just wanted to point out that this is this a Chinese company?
I do not know.
Because if it is, the fact that they went with that Winnie the Pooh one is a huge, I would say, good on you. because we've talked about the Winnie the Pooh being banned in
I
China.
I think we just got banned in China.
And there's a good chance that the people that created this may have mysteriously driven off in a white van and nobody's seen them since. But yeah, I'm curious where the company's from.
Upon what is this, a cartridge or something you slide into
It's
it?
like an NFC card.
Yeah, or it has a barcode in it or something. It reads, and then it's getting the information off the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So didn't it say BBC at the top of that?
Oh, because the stream, it's there was a BBC production of Winnie the Pooh, which is, or that card is from, links you to that.
Yeah.
That repository. But yeah, I mean, theoretically, you could get pretty much anything. We should contact them and see if we can get a VOD Squad card.
Totally. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because this is what all the little kids are missing in their life.
So, what would the fave icon-esque graphic be on that thing? I don't know. It's the question. Just 4 heads in.
I was going to say a big circle with a line through it.
No!
Call it a cautionary tale.
Maybe we could do like the Klingon picture you had up earlier.
There you go. But I mean, that would look, I don't know how we would pixelate that in that like 100 by 100. But okay.
I don't know. All right. So last week we talked about Apple and their announcements. One of their announcements is that they came out with Apple's podcast subscription, where they've learned a little bit more information about it. Apple wants 30% of your money that you're going to get out of that subscription service. Saddens my heart.
For the first year.
Oh, is that okay? That's good to know. That being said, still it saddens my heart because people have other methods of getting money.
Because they know most podcasts don't make it past the first year.
Okay. Spotify said, hey, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come out with a version of Spotify podcast subscriptions that allows you to pay a certain monthly fee and provide yourself with additional features from the podcast that is set up with it. You do have to use their podcast service. It's the hosting service of Anchor. The fees are anywhere from $2.99, $4.99, $7.99. They will take 15 to 30% of your revenue as well. This, if you ask me, is a step in the wrong direction. Everybody, let's not use these services. It's my opinion.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but then I'm sure, well, it depends, right? Yeah. If you pay that subscription and you get it commercial free,
yep,
maybe that's worth it, right? But if you pay that subscription and you still get commercials, then yes, I've definitely got an issue with that.
What? I mean, I guess my question is why, right? Like, there's so many good ways to get your podcast now. Why would I pay money to get them?
Ideally, because if people with a podcast you like will move it behind that paywall. So that one way or another, you have to pay to get it.
And also you get exclusivity if you decide to put your podcast behind Apple Podcast subscription. You have to go to Apple Podcast to download it. That's what my guess, or at least that version of it. They might, if they still allow you to get the free version without having to have an exclusive deal, it's less of an issue. But if they do something like that,
yes, my point is, as a successful podcaster, what's the motivation? Not me, but if I was a successful podcaster,
more money, more money.
Yeah. Apple people are really loose with their wallets. They are able to spend that Apple Cash, those gift cards they get every year because people don't know what to get them for Christmas. That's just money burning in their pockets. Might as well spend it on podcasts.
I'm not so sure it would be more money or not, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you're a podcaster, if you're doing it with advertisements, you might very well make more money with the advertisements rather than charging the.
Well, I mean, it depends. Right? If you're someone like a Joe Rogan or, where you've got millions of people that, most of those millions of people aren't paying anything and they're fast forwarding through the ads. So then you don't
Well,
have
that's
to
because
run the ad.
Spotify is paying $100 million to have Joe Rogan.
But
Yeah, I mean-
but that's what this is what that is geared for, people like that. People
Right.
that have huge followings that want a new way to monetize it.
Yeah, it just seems to me like, aside from being able to get, a guaranteed crap ton of money like Joe Rogan gets with Spotify, in most cases, you're trading your monetization method for this. And it seems like a successful podcaster, to me, my question, I guess, is, or my suspicion is, that you're not going to make more money, and you're going to some extent alienate your audience by doing that. They're already used to you pitching a product at one point in your show or a couple of times in your show.
Well, I mean, you look at it this way, and I'm not a fan, but let's say you've got podcast, you already have Patreon subscribers. If you say, hey, we're shutting down Patreon, move your subscription over to Apple. It's still the same price. It's the same thing. It's just in a different place. And, we're moving to a new clubhouse. For a lot of people, that's what it will be. But there are people that, that are big. And I wasn't using Joe Rogan specifically. I was just saying a big person like Joe Rogan that has a huge following. That's what, because Apple wants to be the PayPal. They want to cut PayPal out. That's why they're doing this. So,
I mean, I think to me, the thing though is that, like, the implication for Patreon is very
PayPal, and I meant Patreon. You're right. Thank you.
Yeah, it is very different to me, right? Like, I'm a Patreon contributor to a channel because I want to support that channel, not because I'm buying the content. In most cases, the ones that I pay for, I don't get any extra content, or even if I do, I never engage with it. I do it as a support for the channel. Now, if I have to pay to get my content, that's a very different mentality to me. And that's all I'm saying is I don't know the answer. I'm just raising questions that make me wonder how good of an idea this really is.
I mean, it's literally the same thing. It's just a slightly, it looks different on the surface. It's the same thing. You're supporting
literally the
them.
Same thing financially, but it is very different. It's a subscription and in image,
because I mean, with Patreon, you can't download the Patreon version of the stream unless you're paid. You're paying for that subscription. But the nice thing about Patreon is it lets you have the payment model's different. So you could contribute on your terms, whereas with Apple, it's going to be like a flat price. And that I think is where the difference is. And I prefer the Patreon model much more. If someone that I was really into moved behind the Apple paywall, I'm sorry, I'm out. I will not be subscribing to that podcast just because that's a hurdle I don't want to jump through. But
I mean, I think that's true with most any other thing. I mean,
Patreon,
Patreon, to me, I think Patreon did it right, because they let you choose what you want to contribute, and that kind of thing. Now, to be fair, Patreon does take a cut of the money.
Yeah, they do.
So they don't pass it all over to the creator, right? But I mean, and I don't know. I mean, and the thing is, you can slice this thing all kinds of ways, right? Because I mean, you take Clyde's example, Joe Rogan. I mean, Joe Rogan is getting paid by Spotify.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not. I mean, and so now Spotify is the one wanting to monetize it, not Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's already got his money.
Yeah.
Right. So, And but maybe that's not a bad model. I don't know, because it's like, okay, we'll go out and get the really high talent, and then we'll monetize it. Somebody like a Spotify.
Yeah.
But I will say I really wish Spotify would get out of the podcast game, because I subscribe to Spotify for music. It's my primary music source when I'm in my car. I now have to scroll. When I start up Spotify, I have to scroll pages and pages and pages just to get to my music now. It's all podcast crap. And that is very unsafe in my car, to be having to look at the screen while I'm driving down the freeway just to get to the playlist, my playlists. And I am
You can't just say, "Hey, lady, play."
Well,
whatever.
I don't know. The problem is the playlists change on a daily basis. So there's playlist 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and what it decided to make for me in each playlist varies from day to day. So because I like the custom mixes that they make for me, because Spotify knows me well. But now they're pushing the podcast stuff so hard that it's making me want to leave Spotify because I don't use Spotify for podcasts, and I don't want to see all of it. I just want to turn all of that off.
So all I've got to say is that from earlier talking, I feel like that we just tapped into a possible way of making money. Hey, if you want to contribute to the VOD Squad and want to find a good way to do it, send us your unused Kohl's gift cards. We don't care. or whatever other gift card you might have. It doesn't matter. We'll take it.
Yep. Xbox Game Pass subscription
whatever
trials. Yeah. You
send it to us. We'll use them.
You got a CD key. You don't even know what it goes to. Send it to us. We'll figure it out.
Alternative payments. That's what I gotta say.
We have a very, very significant opinions and ideas around this, and as the people that are accomplishing basically nothing in all fronts. Switch to Spotify. It won't change our user base. Switch to Apple. It won't change our user base.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. You can multiply anything by 0 and still get 0.
All right, YouTube has new options for you. If you're going to go ahead and use the new iOS or Android apps that are coming out, you will have options available on there for higher picture quality and for data saver modes. That's literally what these are set to do, is provide you with a way to decide how important your data is on your device. You can go ahead and say, I want the highest picture quality, and it will try to give you the sharpest image right away. Or you can switch to data saver mode, at which point it will be sending you something very lean on your data usage, which is probably a good idea on a very small device, if you ask me. And then, of course, there's the old-fashioned auto, which just tries to automatically adjust to based on what you're doing. But these new modes are coming out now. You should be able to use them on your iOS and Android devices today. I'm going to turn on the data saver mode right away, especially if it gives you an option to do that when it knows you're on a mobile connection, when it can sense it's on mobile, use data saver. I love those kind of settings, because usually 99% of the time I can't tell that it's lower quality. It's still good.
I switch everything to max bandwidth consumption.
Well, that option is there for you, sir.
And then he starts playing the videos and he leaves the room for several hours. He's just interested in using the data, not actually. There's a reason I want
there's a reason I want that 10 gigabit internet, just so that I can upload and download all the files on my computer back and forth to use up the bandwidth.
I have been known to turn on
the pipes.
The 9-hour train ride between places on YouTube to run in the background while I'm working, just to have some noise and something happening in the back of my office. And then I leave my office for a couple hours to take care of something. So,
and people walking by your office go, "He's got a train in there."
No. My office has windows, but they're always closed because if they were open, people would see
I
how
just meant
much
they could
stuff
hear
I have.
it. They can hear it as they're walking by.
It's quietish, but yeah, I understand.
Here's the whole board. What?
All right. So we have an interesting story here about Roku and Google, and they're having a bit of a spat. Roku's one of their up-de-ups, one of the spokespersons, came out and said, "Hey, YouTube TV, Google, they're doing some kind of sneaky stuff in order to try to, get better what they can out of our services." They're saying that." Going in there to doing anti-competitive and discriminatory things to make it harder for them to do. They're hiking the cost for it. They're trying to they're trying to make sure that the YouTube TV app is given priority space inside of the Roku interface. A bunch of these things that the guys from Roku came out and said, Google's doing these things that we feel that it's a little unfair, maybe not good. Google went ahead and came out with their own statement saying that they're just negotiating, and Roku is often trying to do these kind of things in order to be good as part of the negotiations. And so both sides are saying that the other side is being unfair in this entire thing, but Roku is saying, look out. It's possible that we could lose YouTube TV on Roku devices. What do you guys think about this? What do you think is actually happening here?
I suspect they're both doing exactly what the other is saying.
They're both right.
To one extent or another. I mean, I think it is probably very likely that Google is asking for these kinds of things. Like,
sure, why wouldn't you?
Treatment. We want YouTube search results to have their own dedicated line at the top of the search results. I mean, I suspect they're asking these things, and they may be asking hard, right? They may be prioritizing it. I suspect that it's probably a little bit of, they're both telling a little bit of the truth, and maybe it's when your kids have an argument, you can almost always be certain that both kids are telling you some portion of the truth and are somewhat right, but they're both neither telling you the whole truth.
all I know is that if I had a company and my employee that was tasked with negotiating this deal flat out said, yeah, we'll pay whatever you want and we don't care, you can put us wherever you want the search results, yeah, that dude probably be looking for a new job. So yeah, I mean, as a company, you're going to try and get the best you can out of a deal. And same thing for Roku. I mean, obviously, they've got their line in the sand where, whether or not Google's asking for stuff that is too far, over that line, fine. But this whole going to the public and finger pointing, I don't think it looks good. Especially after last year with the whole Peacock and HBO Max debacle. So
Roku's done this before.
And that's the thing is, I mean, I appreciate Roku saying, hey, we haven't come to an agreement, much like they did with Fox previously. We haven't come to an agreement, and this app may leave the service. That will make me sad because Roku is my primary way of watching YouTube TV. It doesn't mean I won't be able to. I'll just have to watch it on a different device, which is not convenient. But yeah, I don't know.
It'll work.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the real question is, I agree completely. If the insinuation here generally is that they're both probably complaining, there are a couple of things in here that are being alleged that would actually be legal issues, and would be anti-competitive, which could get Google in real big trouble, which is why I don't think that they're likely going this far. But, you know, where Roku's alleging that Google threatened to set chipset prices and memory prices or requirements for devices at a specific level so that costs would be cost prohibitive for like Roku to accomplish the Android requirements, and then not the Chromecast, right? So that would be an anti-competitive practice that could very likely get them into some pretty significant legal trouble. So those are things to kind of be aware of. But again, it's the kind of thing that if it's not substantiable, then
substantiated. Yeah. I mean, the problem is we don't know. Nobody on the outside is involved, so we don't know who is really doing what. And it's like, all right, guys, keep it in the bedroom. That's all I can say. Just keep it in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Do no
Mom and
evil.
Dad are fighting.
Whether you break up or you stay together, I don't care. Just let us know what the outcome is, and I don't care why. I don't want to know. I don't care why Mom and Dad got a divorce. Just do your thing.
Okay. Hey, I got some news that might cheer you guys up. CES is coming back in 2022. It's going to be in person. You are going to be able to go. You're going to be able to walk in and see the vendors and see the stuff. It's planned to be there. They've got a whole bunch of different companies committing to be there, including Amazon, Google, Intel, Samsung, and Sony. It's going to be from January 5th to January 8th with some early stuff happening a couple days earlier
Except
than that.
it's going to be in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Is it?
No.
Did I miss that?
No,
I thought it said Vegas.
I'm kidding.
It's in Vegas. It's in Vegas.
Like, sorry, guys.
No! Also, Brazil's not doing well right
And
now.
then
But
the
that's
people
besides
in Sao Paulo are like, yay, we don't have to travel to Vegas.
But they're working very hard to make sure that they're complying with all laws and COVID suggestions, and reviewing what the CDC is saying as well at the state and regional levels. So they are working very hard to make this happen, but they are committed to make this happen. So the question is, who wants to go to CES this year?
I would have gone last year. I went last year.
You went last year. That's right. We were the only people who had a reporter on scene.
Yeah, we drove through there and it was just empty. There was I serious that there was a tumbleweed rolling through the place where Google normally has their big fun house. Yeah, good, because this year was garbage. It was basically the same thing you can get all year from every website.
Yeah, it was a total waste. I felt like there was it was not even worth the time and energy to try to watch it. It was bad. I'm excited. I look forward to it. I will definitely go. You know, I mean, they still talk about ridiculous things about vaccines and stuff like that, which just seems silly. So yeah, I'm not concerned. I'll be there.
I will very likely not, because of course school comes back that week, and that's after a break.
I'm sorry. I can't come to work this week. Hey, wait, did we just hear like an airport gate announcement in the background?
No.
I'm sick. That's the TV. I'm watching airplane.
Now boarding. Flights to Nebraska. No, unfortunately, it's hard for me to get time right off after a break, especially since I'm the only guy in my school district who actually knows how to make this stuff work. So I have to take my breaks during breaks.
Sounds like you need to get one of the high school kids to do like a internship for class credit.
It's what I did when I was a kid.
Exactly. And then that way you can like take time off and just set him loose.
maybe that might be something we'll see
Or
about that.
I meant him in the general term, not.
Yeah, I know. He, she, it, they. Yeah, I
I'm
gotcha.
just clarifying for anybody listening. Before you can stop your angry email.
It's okay. All right, let's see here. We have one more story. Okay, we have this big lawsuit happening between two companies. It's going to be Epic Games versus Apple. They're in a spat. They're having this thing about the store and all that. We've actually talked a lot about it. We're having discovery happen right now. Discovery is when a lot of dirty laundry gets aired from the both companies. Both companies like to say, well, here's the proof that we're going to use, and here's some information we're going to use to prove our side. And so all this information is coming out and it's becoming public. And oftentimes there's some juicy bits in it. The interesting thing here is that Epic is apparently not putting Fortnite and other of their other games on the Xbox cloud gaming service. They are looking at as if Xbox cloud gaming service is literally their competition and probably some of their biggest ones. So they're comparing their Epic Game Store to the Xbox Cloud Gaming Service in a comparison, which is an interesting way to look at this for them, because they do a lot of free games and inexpensive games on their game store. So yeah, I thought it was very interesting to see that they don't see the PlayStation or any of these other things. Is that the Xbox?
Well, you got to remember that PlayStation, as we talked about last week, is finally making it free to access through their streaming service, which is probably one reason it hasn't been pulled, because before you had to pay. Do you have to? My question is, do you have to pay? If let's say Fortnite was in the xCloud platform, would I have to pay Microsoft in order to access it?
Yes, because you have to play any of the Xbox cloud gaming.
Okay, and that's what I was getting at. So
there's more details than that.
For that reason, for that reason, I would not blame Epic for keeping it.
And I mean the Xbox cloud solution is a more direct competitor to the PC marketplace, whereas anything that Sony does is not a direct PC competitor, right? So I think that's kind of the differentiating factor there. When Epic came out with this system, it seemed like it was more a play to get past the barriers of absurdly exorbitant pricing schemes for the Play stores, for the digital stores. And so at that time it seemed like Epic was making it sound like they were doing everybody a favor so that companies can get their product to customers, their games to customers at a price that allows them to keep a reasonable amount of their investment. Now this just kind of takes it all of that away and just makes it a pure money play, and they're just like everybody else now.
You see, I gotta say that this is Fortnite we're talking about, an absolutely free game. It costs nothing to play this game. Sure, you spend money in order to send to get the skins and other things like that, and dances and things like that. And I suspect if you bought that through the Xbox gaming service, Microsoft would get their percentage off of that, whatever that percentage would be. But it's a streaming service, and you can play the game not through that streaming service, just on an Xbox, absolutely, and it's free to download and play. And so, just if you want to use their streaming service, it's not. So it's interesting that they're choosing to do that, because it's.
They're not on Stadia either.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I don't blame them.
That's fine. But you can play it on GeForce, I think.
Yeah. Well, being the least gamer here, I mean, to me, if Epic has got all these complaints about all these app stores, why don't they just build their own platform and sell it?
They did.
So then what are they arguing about now?
No, they're just saying that they're not going to put it on this new platform.
Right.
They
want people to
have
go to
their own platform, and
So
they're not sharing their software to other platforms, which,
Okay.
you know,
But
I mean,
they
So
are.
if you want to play that game, just
Yeah.
go to their platform and that's it.
Yeah.
And end of story, right?
Yeah, and so this, this only became a story because this topic came up during the trial that is currently going on with Apple. Because the battle with Apple was the fact that that Apple wanted a cut of the in-game purchases, and that's why they were like, no, we want to put it to, that's why they didn't want to be in the Apple store.
It's not wanted, it's in the contract.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying is they want that in order to be in the store. But
Epic wanted to disregard the contract as well.
Yeah, exactly. But like,
they wanted to negotiate different terms to the contract. So the issue for them was that I don't, if I remember correctly, it wasn't specifically that they didn't want to give anything to Apple. They didn't feel like it was reasonable for Apple to ask for 30%. And that is at the time, that was their flat contract rate for all transactions. And, Fortnite, as big as it was, and the amount of money that it brings in each month in transactions, and being on so many platforms, they rightly said that you're not adding value here. You're just the mechanism that some people choose to get it on their device because it's an Apple device.
So then the answer is pull it off the Apple platform, build your own.
Which they did.
And you're good.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't get why they go to court over this thing. Right?
But that's a completely different story. And
it isn't really. It's effectively the lawsuit is about the anti-competitive nature of the Apple Store.
No, I meant that the trial, and that is a different story than this story that we're currently talking about. Is what I meant. This is just something that came up. It's an observation that
they're also
not going to be. So if you were someone that wanted to use xCloud, this isn't Microsoft and Epic fighting or anything. This story was meant to be a heads up that if you are looking forward to using xCloud
to play your Epic games,
you won't be able to.
No.
So just be warned.
You just have to play in two different platforms. That's all.
Yeah. You have many different platforms you can use, including an Xbox. You can download the game and play, or a PlayStation, but you're not going to be able to stream it using their platform.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're an xCloud customer, but you also want to play Fortnite, you got to do it on two different platforms.
Well, the thing is, the whole point of wanting to be an xCloud customer is wanting to be able to stream it on a different machine, on a virtual machine like Stadia. And probably because you don't have hardware that's good enough to play Fortnite installed on your device. Because that actually does require significant hardware for good. I mean, it's pretty taxing. Is what I'm saying.
It definitely can take what you can give it, but also if you turn the dials all the way down, you can get it to play on a pretty low end spec machine.
But it's just a thing saying, hey, if you were hoping to be able to play this in the cloud on this service, you won't be able to. Look elsewhere. That's all.
Yeah.
And
I think that is the stories for the week, everyone. My goodness.
I know. It took us long enough that I kind of think that, should we just move on? But we can't because we're obligated. We've got the people that we need to thank. We talked about them a little bit earlier.
We did, and maybe we should not thank them and just switch to Spotify.
Or we could use PayPal.
Or yeah. Or
And-
you know,
and-
what was that other one? The
Apple.
Apple thing, you know?
Yeah,
Or
we
just
could use
send
the
us your
Apple
old
thing.
gift cards. That's fine.
And so I'm going to take this moment to respond to something that Mike said earlier. You said that if we moved platforms, it wouldn't be different. It would still be like zero sum game or whatever. We are actually making a little bit of money.
Yeah.
If you didn't realize it, we actually are, because of the patrons, the people that saw something worthy in what we were doing and made that crazy decision to give some of their hard-earned funds to us via patreon.com. If you are someone that would like to support this this endeavor on your own terms, we don't care. We don't care how. But just a reminder, this doesn't include the CD keys or the gift cards we were talking about earlier. Those come directly to us. Patreon only accepts money.
It's just an alternative form of payment. We're thinking about.
I was saying, if you would like to support us, but you would prefer to do so in alternative currencies, Bitcoins, Dogecoins, whatever, contact us and we'll give you away. But if you would like to just go the easy route and let Patreon handle all that for you, that's patreon.com/the VOD Squad.
Man, I tell you, it's an untapped market. It's all those gift cards you don't know what to do with. Just consider us.
I actually, I have this.
It's a DoorDash,
but there is nothing near me that either doesn't already deliver, or anything that I could want to order, but it would be cold by the time it got here.
So did you know that there are websites that will take almost any card and convert it to something else, or
or you can
trade
do
card.
Or you can do a thing where I barter a lot, and we'll work this into hold on, we'll do this.
How many those
Rants and raves. So I was talking with a guy the other day, and he had his wife had bought the wrong tires for her car. Going into winter, she bought summer only. So then they had to go back and buy new tires. So he's got these like basically brand new tires that have like 1,000 miles on them. And he was just like, I'm just going to get rid of them. And I was talking with him, and I was like, well, I checked, they'll fit on my Honda. The one that's been running on snow tires since the first time it got stolen and the nice rims and tires got taken. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll take these off your hands. I was like, and I made a deal with him. I'm going to give him some cash and a DoorDash card because I say thank you to the person that gave this to me for my birthday. It was a thoughtful gift. Unfortunately, I'm going to trade it for tires.
That's one of the great things about these cards is that as long as you don't use them, they're completely transferable.
Yeah, and I barter.
Totally.
This kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
That's why I've got all kinds of stuff around that I don't necessarily need, but I know it's got some sort of value, and I will trade it for something.
That I have in the past wanted to get a small domination of gift card of some kind. Not that kind of domination. Nomination.
Yeah, there's a difference.
And so
denomination.
So in order to get a $10 Amazon gift card to give to somebody, you have to buy them in like a 3-pack. And so we would often buy the 3-pack, and then I would stick the other 2 in my wallet. And then I've had plenty of times where I would like out and about and doing something, and somebody does something nice to me, or somebody needs something, or somebody's it's their birthday and I didn't know it. I could just give them a card. Here you go. It's like, oh, thanks for remembering. I didn't, but you're welcome anyways.
I used to have a stack of gift cards that all had like less than a quarter on them. And it irritated me. It was like I couldn't spend that last few whatever cents, and it's like
it's the
throwing away
Superman
money.
It's the Superman plot line from Superman 2. It's that cutting up that penny that gets cut in half and stealing that penny in millions of transactions. There's millions of dollars of money sitting around in companies, and
that was
20
Office
last
Space.
cents.
That was the whole thing behind
That's
Office
right.
Space.
That was Office
They
Space.
were just going to take like a penny from everybody's paycheck. I mean,
Exactly.
who's going to notice a penny? Yeah.
That's right. But no, this is the new version of that. It's who's going to notice that that their gift card is
and that's also they for the longest time they had expiration dates, so you could have a $50 gift card, you forget to use it, haha, guess what?
I know.
Visa or whoever, they get to keep that $50.
Took 50 cents every month.
Yep. And then to charge you. So I will rant though real quick. So last week you may remember I made the comment that Hulu, I'm still waiting on the new season of Future Man. Well, it turns out they released it April 3rd and never told anybody. They didn't put up anything. I went into my watch list. The thing that I've always raved about Hulu is the watch list auto sorts. So when there's a new episode, it pops up to the top of the list. When you've watched everything, it drops down to the bottom of the list. So that way the stuff at the top is always the stuff that I need. And so the other day I was thinking about it because of our conversation here. I'm flipping through Hulu and I go down and I see Future Man's down at the bottom of my list. It says it's got the tag on it, watched. It's like, I'm going to click into it, see if maybe it's got some information on, when it's, and it goes season 3, like 8 episodes unwatched.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell? And I think Disney's doing it on purpose because, because this is a show that is pre-Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they are really on board with the show, because it was basically, this is the 3rd and final season, and that was happened almost immediately after the acquisition. So I'm pretty sure that they're just like, okay, we got to get it done and get it out there quietly. So but I am enjoying it. Season 2 is interesting. Season 3 is pretty good so far. And and it's only 8 episodes, so I'm almost done.
Very cool.
No, like half hour. It's sad.
So I was going to rant and rave about a couple things that we ended up already talking about, like the fact that my son was trying out GeForce Now. We took that Xbox controller. He said, "I want to try it out," and he said, "Okay." And so he sat up down next to my my NVIDIA Shield and said, "Hey, let's try GeForce Now on this because it's got it built into it, so being a GeForce NVIDIA Shield." So that whole tribulation of having to log in and then log in again and find a keyboard and mouse in order to get that working, in order to get him to log in and try it, and then he had to wait in line because we aren't paying for so you have to wait in line for it. It's such a weird experience of that system. And he played Rayman Legends, and it was just fine after it got started. It was a perfectly acceptable play experience for him. And then it crapped out, and he gave, nope, I'm done. So, yeah. I again, like I was saying earlier, it was better with the Stadia has been the best experience so far. And I'm seriously going to try xCloud. I want to give it a month of payment to try and see if I like it, especially since there's a lot of games on there that I might be interested in for the monthly fee. So we'll see. I want to try them all out, see which one works for me.
Cool.
Except for Luna. I'm not going to do. Sorry, Amazon. No.
Yeah, that seems to be a general consensus.
Luna?
Yeah, That's their gaming
is it,
platform.
I think it's Luna.
Yeah, it's
it's
Luna.
Okay, you want to? Yeah, you're not going to try that. Yeah, got it.
No, sorry, don't like Amazon.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and go. I have been watching Alone. That's it. I already mentioned it. It's great. I watched another season. They went to Mongolia this time, and that was very cool, very interesting. Kind of like a reunion season. So yeah, I'm just still continuing to enjoy watching people starve to death while I eat pizza and drink soda and stuff.
It's a great show. Love this in my nice warm house.
They're freezing and
so nice.
Like eating the mouse that they killed because that's the one thing they'll get to eat this week. And I'm just like, I didn't eat another piece of chocolate cake. So yeah, I think maybe I enjoy it partly because of that. So other than that, I mentioned I got myself a new big purchase, totally unrelated, but I just got myself a smart bed.
Oh yeah, and that's right. We discussed this previously. Is it worth it?
I think so. I love it.
Okay.
It's incredibly comfortable, and so you can see how well I slept last night. I got a 60 out of 100.
Okay.
So that's not very good. And I got 4.5 hours of sleep. That's probably why I got such a bad score.
What happens if you jump on it? Like if the
I haven't
kids
tried
come in
jumping
and
on it.
Kids start jumping on it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a memory foam bed. It's a Tempur-Pedic.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, it's other than the fact that it adjusts, it would probably.
Oh, I just meant, is it going to make your sleep rating like significantly terrible?
Oh no, because it's like super intelligent. So this is like my sleep. It shows that I woke up. And,
yeah, you don't need to watch it all.
So get up in the middle of the night and then jump on the bed, and then then that'll also mess up your wife's rating.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll if I start snoring, it actually detects it and it'll like incline my bed a little bit. And
I would hate that. Do you know why?
Because it would wake you up and you'd never be able to fall back asleep.
No, because I usually sleep on my stomach. Ow!
Bends you in half backwards. Your wife's just lying there and hears this loud crunch next to her.
But the problem is it keeps adjusting because as it's bending him, he's snoring worse and worse. Because it's compressing.
Yeah, I don't think you want to use that feature if you were a stomach sleeper. It has an alternative because it has like it has vibrating massage built in, so you could have it do that instead, because it'll like shake the bed a little bit to let you know, to like distract you enough that you stop snoring. I've not used that feature. That seems weird.
Is the vibrating part activated by a big metal box that sits on your nightstand?
And you have to put quarters in it for some reason.
Quarters in it.
Yep, you got it. It is the bed even syncs to my Echo as well.
Is it heart shaped? Does it rotate?
It doesn't, but it does have under bed lighting.
Whoa!
Well, that's how you get rid of that's the anti-monster.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you got to have the light under the bed to make sure monsters aren't down there.
They do hate the light. I got to tell you that.
I'll resist all the jokes I'm thinking of.
There's so many. I threw it out there largely because I thought you guys could make some good jokes.
I could make some jokes, but maybe might be a little PG rated.
Not our normal family friendly content.
Yeah, our family friendly that skirts the edge often. Just so you know, it's fine. Like the skirting on the edge of your bed. That's what kind of skirting it does.
We're family friend-ish.
All right, that's it for me, Jimmy. What do you got?
Okay, so HBO Max released a new movie over the weekend. I believe it was this past weekend, or I saw it over the weekend. Called Mortal Kombat.
That movie from like the 90s.
We watched
that movie party back in September, I think it was.
I think there was, I think there was one in the 90s, maybe a couple of them in the 90s, and I think there were one in the early 2000s, and well, 2021 they made another one.
Was that song in it? I just have to know. Even as a joke, was it in it?
No, it was not. It was a different music, right? But you do hear the characters say some of the lines that you hear from the game. Right?
Oh, you have to do that.
Yeah, like they'll say their name, such and such wins, or flawless victory, right?
Get over
here. Finish him.
Yeah. So you do hear a little bit of that. Right? So, I mean, this is not a great movie, but I mean, it's just, it is what you would expect it to be, right?
Let me ask, do you wish that you had spent the money and driven across town to see it in the theater?
No.
So it was better viewed at home?
For me, but keep in mind, I've got a good setup.
Yeah. I understood. Right,
so,
and I wasn't saying, across the board. I was just asking for your opinion. Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have a stereo system at home and you really want that,
well, I'm planning on watching this while sitting on the toilet on my phone. Would that be a good way to experience this movie?
I would say so. Yeah.
All right. So don't go to everybody. Don't go to the theater. It's good enough to watch on your phone while sitting on the toilet, which definitely is not good enough to spend the amount of money it's going to cost you to go to a theater.
It definitely would help you pass the time, as you're sitting there on the toilet. Also too, I'm I guess maybe I was kind of looking for things to watch. So I decided to make a second trip around Billions. So I started back watching Billions, making a second trip on that. So watching Billions as well.
Yeah, I'm afraid because when they stopped the last season midway and said we'll have more episodes later, I have a feeling they just went, we'll just start with the next season. And I think they just kind of bailed on that last season midway, which is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, Clyde, and I kind of feel the same way. And maybe that's one reason too why I'm making the second trip around. Right? Is like, okay, I'll just go back through the old seasons, come back up. Maybe by the time I get to the end of it, they'll announce something.
I have no doubt that the next season's gonna pick up exactly where the last one left off, but knowing me and the way my brain processes this stuff, I'm gonna feel shorted. Like basically season 4 was just what should have been the second half of season 3 and some stuff rather than a full season 4. And yeah, I don't know. I'm waiting for it to come back. There's a couple things that are back on Showtime that, like City on a Hill, that I haven't been watching because I'm not going to resubscribe to Showtime just for, that stuff. I'll wait until it's time to watch Billions again, and then I'll catch up on the other things. But all right, well, word. I think that pretty much covers everything that we had on the agenda. Good meeting, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us this week. If you're watching this after the fact, you should come join us live. Because when you're live, you get to participate in the chat. and you get to submit titles that they will vote on in the post show. Yes, that's right. The titles are submitted by people. I think they're people. They could be bots for all I know. Bots are getting pretty sophisticated, but and yes, there is a post show, but you only get to participate if you're here. But if you don't want to be here, and you are here, and you're going, "Why am I here?" You don't have to be. You can download the podcast. You can listen to it anytime you want, anywhere you want. We don't judge. We don't care. You could download it and never listen to it. That's perfectly fine too. As long as you're downloading it. I think that's really all the metrics watch. But yeah, you can get that anywhere podcasts are available. And with that, let's get out of here. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, guys. We'll catch you all next week.
Bye.
See ya.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.